Hey, how's it going everyone? Here today with the latest release in Japan, Metal Cooler. So this is a premium bundle release. It's one of the worldwide same time delivery items, which meant it came out at the start of the month in the USA. So it seems like if it is a worldwide same time delivery for premium bundle, it'll hit at the start of the month in the US and then later in the month here in Japan. Generally in Japan, premium Bandai orders ship out around 20th to 25th, around that time. And yeah, Metal Cooler here is no exception. So yeah, last time, I think the last one was Android 19, who arrived early in the US, followed with a later Japan release. So I would assume that's going to be the trend going forward. So if you want to get your hands on a figure straight away or as soon as possible, for the premium bundle releases at least, it's definitely worthwhile picking them up from the official site. Now this is a figure I've been looking forward to for a very long time, and I know there's a lot of gripes at the start about the pricing. I don't really think it really matters. This is such a beautiful release, which we will see in a moment. Now I'm sure a lot of you have already checked out reviews or photos online from America and so forth, so if you are checking this one out, thank you so much for coming and watching. I really do appreciate it, especially since it is a bit later compared to, you know, other videos. So yeah, I really do appreciate that, so thank you once again for joining in, and for anyone who is a regular watcher as well. Be sure to drop heaps of comments below. I always love reading and replying to them. Now, if you are new to collecting by some chance, premium Bandai logo on the front here, that is the Tamashii Web exclusive logo, so keep an eye out for that if you are buying secondhand or anything like that, if you're wondering what it means. On the back we have a nice selection of images showcasing the figure, and man, I wish I could afford to buy multiples of this release. He is definitely very beautiful. I do regret only getting one. Now on the front he does have a metal text as well, or the silver text from the name, and this actually fits into the releases from the Dragonballz superhero movie. So it's interesting that they brought it back for this release, but you know, it matches up with this figure since he's, well, silver and shiny. I do have the Tamashii Nation's white gloves here, so when we get them out of the box and handle them, I don't have to worry about those finger smudges. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, speaking of opening him up, let's pop him out of the box and see what he comes with. Okay, so Metal Cooler is in the center, his tail is off to the side, it appears like it's got about 3 different points of articulation. Now for face weights, we've kind of got the neutral on there, teeth gritting, cocky smile it seems like, and the full on mouth open shouting look. So a very standard selection of faceplates, which you kind of get with most Dragon Ball releases these days. Now for hands, he's got the fist already attached, he's got the fingers spread, the kind of martial arts fighting grip ones that are loose, kind of like a bit more of a neutral pose hand, as well as the finger pointing one. That's very reminiscent of Frieza's hands as well. So it is nice to see, you know, the similarities between the two. He also comes with additional feet, which is what the Frieza figures come with as well. So when he's floating in the air, you don't have his feet out straight, then a bit more of a neutral drooping pose, which is really cool. Now he also comes with the damaged arm, or the arm that has been recreated. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend. It is definitely one of my favourites. Bit of a spoiler if you haven't seen it. Goku punches through his arm, shatters it into pieces, and then as he thinks he's got the upper hand, you know, it goes, you know, kind of like regenerates, all the wires come out, and he creates a whole new arm. We also have the shoulder cap as well to replace this one, so it all matches up. So definitely really cool how we can recreate the mid-battle scene, or the battle damage look for this release as well. So yeah, he does have a tint on him, but we'll take a closer look at that now, as we'll check him up on the turntable to check out that finish. Okay, so it's on the turntable here. I've got my white gloves on, and definitely thankful for that. Shiny from head to toe. That reflection on this figure is beautiful. Definitely a lot lighter in hand than what I expected. It really does give you that die-cast metal look, whereas it is just the coating to give you that reflective look. And as you can see, as he swings around, you probably can get a full 360 view of my room here, because he does have that mirror finish. The main armor parts do have the teal tint to it already, and depending on the light, it may be obvious or not. I think at the moment it doesn't come through as much as what it did before in a more neutral coloured room. All the lines down his tail come through clearly, and it definitely adds a little bit more depth and detail, as those points are picking up the light in different ways, and it is definitely giving it a beautiful chrome look to him. And if I flick on a changing LED light here, since he is basically a base chrome color, he will easily reflect any color that you have in the room. So if you really want a deep dark teal color, put on a teal light. If you want more blue, purple or red, you can switch it up. So it's really cool how it will capture the lighting in your room, and he is looking so cool. I'm going to say this numerous times in this video, I regret only getting one. I wish I got in at least 3 of this video, just because altogether it look amazing. One just keep pristine, one to really play around with and not worry about scratching. I don't think it would be that easy to scratch, but I'm definitely going to be a lot more careful with this figure than other releases. But yeah, as we can see, the finish, beautiful. So let's just jump straight into the articulation. So as usual, we'll start with the head, and it has a nice range of motion going forward, going back as well. We can get up. There's a little bit of a tilt, maybe a couple of mil. You know, the swivel left and right is beautiful, and the tilt is nice. So overall, a decent range of motion there, and as you can see, the neck will move as well. So you do have the 2 points of articulation. One thing I do want to point out, he is very smooth and slippery. So with the white gloves, very slippery, a little bit harder to get a little bit of grip. So maybe, you know, bare hands will give you a little bit more control over motion. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if you do want to minimize those fingerprints, definitely wash your hands before playing with this figure, or, you know, just get out the old Michael Jackson attire. Coming down to the shoulders though, we can see he has a nice curvature there, so he should have decent butterfly joint. And the shoulder pads has a really cool design where it will lift up, and it's on a double jointed peg in there, and it will slot into the joint, so it will be hidden once it is down fully, but you can move up and it will give you the extra range in the arm. So the shoulder range there is quite nice. So we're up and over, so everything here feels super smooth and clean. But going forward, it does have a decent range of motion, and we can actually see the inner texture there. So we do have extra sculpting on the inside, which brings forth that whole cyborg look. Now the chest pecs here do stick out quite a bit, so if you go straight forward, the articulation is hindered a little bit. But if you go up and over to the side, we do get a lot more range there. So follow the curves of the figure, use it to your advantage to increase the range of motion. He does have the bicep swivel. The elbow joint is decent as well, so nice range of motion there. I can't really complain about that. And then the wrist peg is your standard wrist peg, so everything here will move, and you know, it feels really, really nice to play with. Definitely a little bit more fiddly than other figures, and that could also be due to the gloves. But the shoulder pads are nice how they can move out of the way, so you can kind of pose it, then adjust them to where you need. Now coming into the center torso area, it is smoothly sculpted all through here, but we do get a few mil of range going forward, and then going back as well, it is definitely limited. So the articulation in the torso area is definitely a lot more limited than other figures, but aesthetically speaking, this is beautiful, and so I don't really mind. But you do get some really good left and right tilt action going on, where the inner part of his torso will move independently of that front armor. Just a little bit more fiddly with the gloves, but as you can see, decent range there. It's just that front and back motion which is a little bit more limited, but you know, going forward, it still gets, you know, maybe 10 mil of motion. Now coming down to the tail, it slots in with a single joint on the back, and then we have one, including where it attaches, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 joints here, which are all in their individual ball joints. So if you have the second form freezer, very similar to that. Now this looks lovely, it feels nice, but I still wish they would do a monster art style with multiple joints, so we get a bit more of a free-flowing tail without all the the large joints there, because you can look a little bit disjointed depending on how you move it. Now coming down to the legs, the splits on this figure is really nice. Going forward as well, really good. Going back is pretty decent as well, though it will flare out a little bit due to the tail design at the back. The knee joint, again, really nice. Maybe a little bit more motion up could be good, but he does have really thick thighs. So I kind of understand why, but overall it is looking really good there. We also get the upper thigh swivel, which is good. And then the ankle joint is nice with a decent range of motion, with nice large pegs, so you can switch those feet on and off without too much trouble. But again, all the swivel and tilting action is pretty good there. So overall, the articulation of this figure is really nice. Definitely more limited in the front and back motion for the torso. That is the main limiting factor for this figure. But the left and right swivel is really nice due to the fact that it is separate parts. So jumping into the facial expressions, the base one here is neutral face, and all the line printing is crisp and clear, with sculpting as well. Maybe a little bit hard to see, but even his little cheek here is in a little bit, which adds to the emotion. He has a lovely little wee red pupil as well, with all the line work being crisp and clear. So overall the face is looking really nice. And then for the ears as well, we have those little wee kind of grill texture there, which is cool. Now the head is really easy to change, which is great considering it's so slippery and shiny. Just pops off and you have kind of like little wee clips on the top. So we want to put the new faceplate on, just line up with the slots on the inside of the head, and it'll just push down like so. So super clean and simple. And again, this is the teeth gritting face, which is looking really nice. Again, all the emotion coming through, the cheeks are coming up slightly to follow through, with a nice pointed nose. This could be one of my favorite faces actually. It's that kind of a cocky smile, looks really cool. I can definitely see this faceplate being used with him like, standing on the ledge, coming down, looking at Goku and Vegeta as they think they've won, but then suddenly 99 other metal coolers appear. So the final faceplate that we have is that mouth open screaming one. This one's really cool again. But really, what can we say about faceplates these days? I mean, they're always generally pretty much spot on, with the increased printing and fidelity with the sculpting of the expressions. But yeah, definitely I think the smiling one is my favourite, but all of them I feel have hit the spot just right. So switching the shoulder and arm part is really easy. Just pop off the ball joint there, the arm will slot off, and then we can attach the new arm, which just has a peg which will slot in, and then we can just line up the shoulder joint here and attach it to the recreated one like so. It just has a little ball joint in there. Let me get a good grip. So yeah, super easy to attach, and that looks really good. There is no joint in this arm, it is fully molded in the one pose, but basically just kind of have it out anyway, as it's just being recreated on the spot after Goku's taken it out. So I've switched out the arm completely, put on the teeth gritting one, which I feel like that fits really well, and you're looking really cool. One thing about all the extra weight behind is if you have that tail up in the air, he does become very back heavy, so you will need a stand if you want a bit more of a dynamic pose. Now each one of these tail points will kind of swivel around, so you can curve it around if you want, but it doesn't really look that good in my opinion due to all the kind of weird angles that you get. So kind of stretch it out a little bit and just kind of use it as a balancing point for behind him. I think it still looks pretty cool, but that's just something to keep in mind. If you are struggling to pose him, you might want a stand. Okay, so I switched out onto the cocky smiling face along with that finger pointing, which is a signature move of Frieza and Cooler with that pshum, shoot you away on the little bit mini Namek, or a new Namek in this case, diorama. I think it looks really cool. Definitely picks up all the colouring. And maybe a little bit hard to see here, but you can see all the reflections underneath him, which is picking up the brown and the blue-green colour from the grass, which is really cool. But this is definitely a figure which will work really well with dioramas, or you know, other figures to get those really cool reflections in them. Definitely looking really cool. Looking forward to kind of getting him set up in a full-size Namek diorama in the future. Okay, so I switched out the feet with the ones which have the drooping toes, which is really cool. I got the flat hand and also the gripping one. And yeah, these work really nice. Really cool if you kind of get them up on the stand. Maybe you can clip it onto the tail. Him just kind of floating up there, ready to come in. Or, you know, maybe try and do a bit more of a dynamic pose where he's kind of kicking up. Swing. Bit of a weird pose here, but you kind of do a bit of a high kick or anything like that, which is really cool. So definitely a really fun figure to kind of pose up when he's flying. Maybe he's jumping through the sky or something. He does that, was it kind of a time warpy style fight with Goku, which looks really cool. So definitely, while he is limited, you can get him into some really cool poses, and the metallic chrome finish definitely pulls it all together and it looks so badass. Check that out. Definitely digging this release. So before we jump into the pros and cons, got a little bit of a size comparison. Metal Cooler, the first Cooler release, which blew everyone away by the sheer surprise of his release and the fact he's so badass. We have the original Frieza release on the Rock, Full Power Goku, and the brand new Legendary Super Saiyan Goku up on the stand. So if you have seen his review, you know he's a little bit bigger than the base 2.0 release. But I feel like the Goku vs Metal Cooler here is definitely looking really good. A little bit of a nice size comparison where Goku's shoulders are definitely a little bit higher than Metal Cooler. And then the difference between Metal Cooler and the transformed, I guess, version of Cooler. Definitely a bit of a size comparison, or definitely a bit of a size difference there. He's coming up underneath his shoulder, just kind of up around where his bicep swivel is. I definitely want to see a base version of Cooler to kind of complete the trio of Cooler figures. But yeah, definitely so far, Metal Cooler I think is definitely my favourite of the two. Drop a comment below and let me know which one is your favourite of the Cooler releases. Okay, so pros and cons time. Pro, I mean, just look at him. He is a sexy figure, so sexy that I think I may need to add a mosaic for anyone in Japan watching this video. The whole chrome finish is pulled off beautifully. To be honest, even without the gloves, he doesn't pick up fingerprints as bad as what I thought, and it does come off easily. The fact that we do get a little bit of a teal colour in there, as well as the base silver look, is nice. It does give a little bit more contrast. But even without that, he picks up the light beautifully, as we saw before. And I'll chuck it back on again now, just so we can check him out with all those light reflections on him, because damn, he is looking good. Oh man, I just can't get over it. It's just too much fun. I'll put the light down and continue with the pros and cons. The facial expressions are really good. You know, your base stock standard expressions, so no real complaints there. Great selection of hands as well. You know, the closed fist, the loose hand, the martial arts grip, you know, the finger spread, all the variety there, along with the feet are fantastic. The colouring on them is nice as well. It does have a nice matte finish on the hands, which blends in beautifully with the inner parts of his body. The tail is looking really good. I like all the different grooves on it. I just wish it had more articulation, and that is my main con for this figure. The joints on the articulated tail just don't really look nice. That's my main con with second form Frieza and third form as well. I would love to see that updated. I'm taking inspiration from the S.H martial arts line. We get multiple, or you know, maybe 15 points of articulation throughout the tail. It will increase the cost, but I'm okay with that if we kind of get away from this disjointed, weird looking design that we get. The other massive pro for me, I love that dismantled arm. It's easy to attach as well, which is great. Yeah, some articulation and it would have been nice, but it's just a, you know, basic fun accessory, which I do like. So being able to add battle damage looks to a figure. I think it's definitely a huge bonus, and I'd like to see it on more releases going forward. Yeah, you know, a lot of people complain about the pricing for this figure. I feel like it's justified with that shiny finish. And to be honest, I wish I did pick up a second or third. You know, generally I don't get duplicates. It is very rare that I do. This one I was very tempted, but the price was up there a little bit, so I held off. In hindsight, there's my one regret. I wish I'd gotten at least 2 or 3 of this release. A, for lining them all up, and, you know, and just one to maybe keep in the box to look mint, or, you know, just one to really fresh with posing that I don't have to worry about scratching it. I don't think this will be easy to scratch, but I also don't want to risk it because he is so beautiful. I would definitely be handling this figure with the utmost care when I do pose it and take photos. I will be trying to get some photos of this figure done later this weekend, maybe not, maybe towards the end of the year. Almost Christmas here. I've got a full-on week next week as well. I also need to do my top 10 video. I have a feeling that I'm going to place this figure, but keep an eye out for that video later this month. Now, definitely drop your comments below what you think about my Metal Caller release and basically releases this year. Start thinking of your top 10 list, and let me know what those are when I drop my video later this year. So yeah, anyway, again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, cheers!